Welcome back to Boxing's Dirty Secrets. I'm your host, Jab Queen Boxing, and today we're going to talk about promotional companies and their influence on the sanctioning bodies. Are they just working relationships, or are they working their relationships? In the brutal theater of professional boxing, we're told a simple story. Two warriors enter a ring, and the best one wins. It's a narrative of merit, discipline, and heart. But what if that story, the one sold to us under the bright lights, is often just an illusion? For decades, the real fight has arguably taken place far from the canvas, in a shadowy world of backroom deals and billion-dollar handshakes. This is where champions aren't always earned with blood and sweat, but are sometimes just another asset to be bought and sold. The fight is supposed to be won in the ring, right? But what if the outcome is influenced long before the first bell ever rings? What if the belts, the glory, and the millions are decided not by the strongest punch, but by the most powerful checkbook? This is the story of how a few dominant promoters allegedly pull the strings of the very organizations meant to guarantee a fair fight. It's how they bend the rules of the game to create champions of their own choosing. Surface, pro boxing looks like a pyramid of merit. At the top sit four major sanctioning bodies: the WBA, the WBC, the IBF, and the WBO. These organizations are supposed to be the sport's independent guardians. They set the rules, assign the judges, and most importantly, they rank the fighters to determine who gets a shot at a world title. They're the gatekeepers of glory, if you will. But they aren't the ones with the real power. The true kings of the kingdom are the promoters. Names like Top Rank and Matchroom and PBC are the architects of the modern sport. They sign the fighters, stage the events, and control the massive revenue streams from tickets and pay-per-views. Their influence is massive, and as many may argue, their power over the sanctioning bodies creates a fundamental conflict of interest that poisons the sport. The question isn't just who's the best fighter, it's who does the best fighter work for? Because in today's boxing world, your alliance can be worth more than your ability. So, how does a promoter, whose job is just to promote fights, gain so much control over supposedly independent arbiters? Well, as it so often does, it all comes down to money. The sanctioning bodies, for all their shiny belts, are financially dependent on the very promoters they're meant to regulate. A huge chunk of their revenue comes from sanctioning fees, which are percentage of a fighter's purse, paid for the privilege of having a belt on the line. No big promoter, no big fight. No big fight, no big fee. This creates a dynamic where the sanctioning bodies have a powerful incentive to keep the promoters happy. This leverage gets amplified by exclusive contracts. Promoters sign the most talented fighters, locking them into deals that dictate who they can and can't fight. This is a key issue. The Muhammad Ali Reform Act of 2000, the one that the TKO League is trying to gut, was designed to stop. The act aimed to prevent promoters from exploiting boxers and manipulating the rankings. Congress itself noted that promoters were engaged in dishonest business and that rankings were being manipulated. But despite its noble goals, enforcement has been spotty, and clever loopholes have been allowing promoters to keep their grip. If a promoter controls the champion and all the top contenders in the division, they've essentially created a monopoly. Fighters on the outside face a choice, right? Sign with the promoter or probably never get a title shot. This kills a fighter's bargaining power and can stall a promising career before it even gets started. For years, the idea that promoters were buying favorable rankings was just a dark rumor. Then, it became a documented fact. A stunning example of this alleged corruption came to light in a lawsuit involving promoter Greg Cohen. During a deposition, Cohen admitted to having a consulting firm with deep, intimate ties to the WBA. It turns out this firm, Sports Consulting Service, had officers who were also WBA employees, including one of the organization's social media managers. The reason for these payments seemed obvious. As one boxing law expert put it, it's hard to imagine any reason for them other than to get a better ranking or a title shot for one of Cohen's boxers. Cohen himself testified that these kind of services could cost anywhere from thousands to even $1 million. This cash for ranking systems appears to be a direct violation of the Muhammad Ali Act, which explicitly forbids employees of sanctioning bodies from getting paid by a promoter. This isn't just bending the rules, it's shattering the very idea of sporting integrity. When a fighter's place in the rankings can be bought, those rankings become a work of fiction, and the championship belt they lead to are tarnished. It isn't overtly changing hands. The influence of powerful promoters can still warp the competitive landscape. One of the key rules for ensuring fairness is the mandatory challenger rule. In theory, this forces a champion to defend their title against the number one contender, right? It's a system designed to stop champions from endlessly dodging their toughest competition. Tio, excuse me. But in practice, these rules are often treated more like suggestions, easily bent under pressure from promoters. There are countless stories of promoters allegedly using their relationships to bypass the mandatory process. Managers have complained that big promoters can just kick everyone to the side and get their way, pressuring sanctioning bodies to grant exceptions or delay mandatory fights. This allows them to protect a champion who is a big moneymaker by having them take on a less threatening but more marketable opponent. Meanwhile, the legitimate mandatory challenger is forced to wait, risking their ranking and losing precious time in their career. This manipulation doesn't just deny deserving fighters their shot, it robs fans of the best possible matchup, all to protect a promoter's financial asset. While you won't find formal partnerships on paper, that is, clear patterns have emerged between major promoters and specific sanctioning bodies. These aren't official alliances, but rather relationships of convenience that dictate the flow of titles and opportunities. Now, historically, Bob Arum's top rank has had a strong working relationship with the WBO. Likewise, Al Heyman's Premier Boxing Champions has often seen its fighters holding WBC and WBA titles. Eddie Hearn's Matchroom Boxing also works closely with bodies like the WBA and WBC. These alignments can shift, but they are a constant feature of the sport. A fighter signed to a certain promoter often finds a much faster path to a title sanctioned by a friendly organization. This creates a fragmented sport where the best fighters are kept apart, not by skill, but by the promotional and network walls that divide them. The result is an alphabet soup of champions, leaving fans wondering who the real champion is and if we'll ever see them fight. The battle against this system isn't new. The Muhammad Ali Boxing Reform Act was a landmark law meant to shield fighters from exploitation by demanding financial transparency and banning these kind of conflicts of interest. It even gave fighters the right to sue promoters for violations. But 2 decades later, while it has stopped some of the worst abuses, its enforcement has been limited, and people have found ways around it. Now, a new legislative battle is brewing. And we've discussed this. The proposed Muhammad Ali American Boxing Revival Act that was introduced in July. It seeks to radically change the sports structure. It introduces the idea of UBO, Unified Boxing Organization, which would let promoters create their own titles and rankings, basically their own league. Just like the UFC, supporters, including Muhammad Ali's widow, Lonnie, says, oh, it will improve fighter safety and pay. However, critics are sounding the alarm, warning that this could be a fatal blow to what little independence is left in boxing. They argue it would gut the core protections of the original Ali Act, allowing a promoter to control both the rankings and the title, giving them a complete stranglehold on the sport, and consolidating all the power into the hands of a few corporate giants. It's a proposed solution that many fear is far worse than the disease. The world of boxing is built on a foundation of courage. But for far too long, that foundation has been cracked by money and power. The influence that major promoters have over the sanctioning bodies has created a system where financial leverage can be more important than competitive merit. From alleged cash for ranking schemes to the quiet manipulation of mandatory title shots, the sport's integrity is constantly being tested. This system often fails its most important people, the fighters who risk everything in the ring, and the fans who invest their passion and their money. The path to a world title shot should be a straight line earned through victory. Instead, it's often a twisted road full of political detours and financial toll booths. As new laws and business models promise to revive the sport, the soul of boxing hangs in the balance. The question is whether any reform can truly break the promoter's grip, or if it will just give them a newer, more powerful way to rig the game. If you want more deep dives into these stories that shape the world of boxing, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share this. Tell a friend to tell a friend. What do you think is the biggest problem in boxing today? Is there any way to truly fix it? Let me know in the comments section. I'm your host, Jab Queen Boxing, and this is another one of boxing's dirty little secrets.